Books we read. Books we read.
La 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 la
Hey guys, welcome to Between the Pages. Today we're joined by Vidwata. She's an amazing person to be around, and I always get mesmerized and inspired by the way she speaks. Today she's here with one of my favorite books, The Girl Who Drank the Moon. This book is everything from friendships to courage to being curious and magic. Everyone loves this book. To know more, stay tuned. Let's welcome Vidwata. If you like today's discussion, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to come on our show as a guest, fill out the form. The link is in the description below.
Welcome to Between the Pages, Vidwata. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be here today.
All right. So, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm Vidwata Mohta. What I do and who I am are two different things. So, which one do you want to know first?
Who you are?
All right. So, there we go. I am a person who really likes to nurture connections. I like to meet people. I love to share what I have. So, that makes me a person who really values love and harmony. That's who I am. And what I do is I work with children, I work with adults, young adults, where I help them develop their confidence. I help them become better communicators. You have been a part of the workshop at Cool Presenters. So you know a bit of what I work with children.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than that, I have also now credentialed myself as a coach. So I work with people of all ages where I am not teaching them how to talk, but I'm teaching them how to think through things in their lives when they want to improve something. How can we think through and not be disappointed or have despair, but have hope and work towards what we want to achieve? So these are the things that I do.
I see. That's interesting. So, how does reading come into your schedule?
That's a wonderful question. I think reading is something that's so important for both things that I do. One is to share. If you want to share what you like, you need to accumulate things. There have to be things you want to talk about. Where do you get them? In the era that I grew up, now I think there are two eras now. So books were the first thing that where we got all the knowledge from. We did not have Google, we did not have Wikipedia, and encyclopedias and books were really big things, and we would crave for books. It would be really beautiful to have a library, to go to a library, borrow a book, and read. So reading has been a passion, and in and out my life, no matter which phase I have been, books have been a big part. So I do manage to read.
I see. So, can you tell us what book you're here with today?
Yes, today I'm here with this book, The Girl Who Drank the Moon.
I've read it and it's amazing, and I can't wait to hear about what you
Yes.
think of it.
Oh yeah, so good. It's a book by an American author, Kelly Barnhill, and this is a book for your age group from 10 to 15. I think they love to read this book.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
amazing.
invited me. I thought I took a bit of time to come back to you. I wanted to speak about a book that you guys would want to, your listeners would want to read. So I choose this book.
All right. So, what drew you to read this book, and what are your initial impressions of this story?
Okay. So wonderful. What drew me to read this book, and I'm very thankful that my connection with children is what has drawn me to these books, which I would have otherwise never read at this age. And I have a daughter who's your age. So I love to see that she has books and she reads. And luckily, she has got that love for books. So I had bought this book for her when she was 10. And she said it's a very good book, and I thought I would want to read it. And I tried once and I didn't feel like reading it because I thought it was a kiddish book. Then, when it was your invitation to come here with the book, I said, no, I want to read this book. And I'm so glad I did it.
Seems like our podcast is already inspiring people to read now.
Yes, yes, it is.
And how did you like the characters? Were there any particular characters that resonated with you?
I think the characters are out of the world. I really love the characters. I loved Luna a lot. I loved Adara a lot. So the whole thing about the characters is the women are so strong in this book.
Yes.
Yes, and the men, even the monster who is probably a male, is the one who is writing poetry, and the other men who come are soft and nurturing, but it's the women who raise their voices,
Yeah.
who protest, and even the villain is a woman. So it was very fascinating that this book is presenting to our young generation what we can, as women, as girls, we can do, what our role should be in this world. So that's what fascinated me.
Mhm. I just realized that I haven't asked you to give a brief summary of what the book is. So I don't think the audience would get what we're talking about. So do you mind?
All right, I'll tell you what this book is about. Is this book starts, the beginning is a little difficult. You don't know. It's talking about a witch and the village that they are talking about, the village of sorrow or the protectorate. They have a tradition where they leave the youngest baby in the woods for a witch to take over. So that's where the book begins. And the premise is said that one woman says, "No, I don't want to let my baby go." And it's the first. Always people have been submissive and they go according to the rule that we go against what is said. And they are elders. There's a generation of people called elders, and they are the ones who are the leaders of the village. And they know it's a lie. They know there's no witch, but they want to propagate that lie to keep people in the fear, to keep people submissive. So this has been a tradition, and when this woman goes against it, she's been taken away. And you know what happens? The most interesting part of the story is these kids who are dropped in the forest and thought to be killed by wild animals or taken away by a witch and killed. But actually, a witch comes. The elders don't know that, but actually, a witch comes, and this witch is a good witch. So she carries these children, and it's so interesting. She feeds them starlight. So I was fascinated. I was wondering how would she bring the starlight and then feed it to babies. I think that was really when I was like, oh, I love this book. And fantasy is not my cup of tea, but this was my first taste for fantasy, and I really loved it. And the children are taken and they are given away in another village, city, and their people are happier, very happy to receive these children that they call star kids, and they are happy. They have a twinkle in their eyes, and they go to happy families. But in the city of sorrow, in that place, people don't know what happened to their children, so they are very scared. They are unhappy, and there is this our villain. He feeds on sorrow, so she wants sorrow around. That's how she becomes strong. She's called the sister.
Hmm.
This is Agnesia, right? So
I
she,
like whenever this is kind of coming back to me.
so she feeds on the sorrow of people. That's why she wants to create sadness. She wants people to be sad.
Mhm.
And and now things change. How things change is when Luna, this girl, whose mother was stopping her husband and protesting, "Don't take my baby." This particular girl, when the witch Zan, the witch's name is Zan, she's taking the baby. Instead of feeding Starlight, she's so engrossed with the baby that she, by mistake, feeds her Moonlight. So when she draws the light from the moon, like I'm imagining silvery threads, they come and become like a candy. Is it a candy or I don't know what something soft and yummy, and she feeds it to her, and she doesn't realize that she's been feeding her moonlight. And when she does, she knows she's in magic to the baby. Like the baby is filled with magic, and that's going to be dangerous if you are very powerful. If you have some kind of magic and you don't know how to use it, I think that's again another lesson here that it is not easy to have your magic and not know how to work it. So Zan keeps the baby with herself. She could be of danger if she's just let to be with other people. So she raises the baby and she grows up with a miniature dragon and Pyrian and the monster of the bog. So it's amazing how she grows up. And then when she begins, things change. I don't want to spoil it for our listeners. Things change, and Luna, the girl, she is the hero. She's the one who finally saves the village from the sister. And there is another interesting thing happening. There's a man called Adrian from the elders' family who is not willing to go the same path, who does not want to continue what the elders are doing. So he wants to bring in change. So a lot of things happen in between and things fall in place.
I see. And what is your opinion on Luna's journey of self-discovery?
Hmm. I think that's a very, very interesting question. Luna does not know that she has magic. And then magic bursts out of her. And it is said so beautifully in the book that as she is running from the where her heels touch, flowers are blooming out, and so many things are happening, and she doesn't know there's magic emanating from her. And from that time, but she's a curious girl. And what I also liked is that in other fairy tales or in other stories, girls are generally described as beautiful or feminine or someone who's less adventurous. But Luna is so adventurous. She's filled with adventure. And she has this curiosity. She's learning botany. She's learning how to fix things. She's into a lot of things, very hands-on person. So I like that about her. And as she grows, the magic is tied, it is stopped in her. Has made a spell that she doesn't realize that about the power of her magic until her 13th birthday. So in so many ways, all of you who are growing up until your teenage, you don't know what you are capable of. We're yet to find out. And I think when you become a teenager at 13, at 14, 15, that we finally understand who you are, a person who is not just a baby, but a person with your own ideologies, separate from your guardians, your parents, your teachers, what you think, and how you want to lead your life, how you want to create an impact around the world. I think that is very beautifully shown here.
That's a great insight, Emily. So, the book is categorized as a children's or young adult novel, but it also appealed to you as an adult. So, what aspects or elements of the story do you think that appeal? I mean, what elements of the story do you think contributed to its growth?
What really appealed to me is that if you have children around you, I would tell those readers to read it, to see how it gives you an insight in how a child is developing. Your earlier question about Luna's journey of self discovery. So we can see how a child is developing through the eyes of our writer and Luna as the character builds. So to see that is very interesting. That helps us understand our children better. That helps us put more faith in our children's abilities. So I think all parents should read. And it's a joy, I think, that if you read the same book as your child does, you can talk about the book.
Yeah.
So I actually tell all the parents who think that they want their children to read, I have always said this, and I'm again saying it's through your podcast, is read those books. You already have bought it for your child, you already have a treasure at home. Why don't you read it and create a connection with your child? And there's something beautiful. These books have beautiful lessons in them.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really struck me as an adult, even if I didn't have to connect with children, was this big lesson that no matter what's going on, and if it's wrong, you have to raise your voice. Even if everybody is going along with the flow, if everybody is sacrificing their babies, not saying a word. So you are doing something against that you don't want, but you need to say, stop this. And two characters here, they brought up their courage and said, no, I don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So the eldest boy, he and Adara, the mother, they were brave enough to say stop. That was very beautiful for me. And I realized in my life too, if I face a situation, this is something I'm drawing for myself. That if everybody's going one way and I think, no, this is wrong for me, I think I will be able to draw that courage to go against the flow. Thanks to this book.
I see. And the town of Protectorate initially believes that sacrificing babies to the witch in the forest protects them. So, how does this theme of blind belief in false narratives resonate with real world issues?
I think it's very sad that we don't question when there are false beliefs, and stories have that power. If you propagate a story slowly, people will take it as the truth, and they believe. And as you said, blindly believe in these things. And this is wrong. And in our society now, growing up, also, we have seen many things. We can point out to many things where we say, oh, why is this here? And we question that. And when we have questioned, when I have questioned that as a kid growing up, my mother would say, oh, it's like this. It was like this forever. When I was a kid too, I asked, and my mother said, it's like this. And I accepted. So why is this answer not good enough for you? Just accept it. And I was not sure whether to accept or still question. But I had an elder sister who would not listen to my mother. So I wanted to be the good girl and like, okay, my mom said so. So I let me try to be her favorite by listening to her. But luckily I had an elder sister who was like, I don't buy your opinion just because you are saying so. Whether it was about spirituality, about God, or about menstruation, or about not touching during menstruation. So these things that came up in our lives as girls, we'd always go to our parents, and my sister would never say, she would not believe in them. She would like protest, and she'd be the rebellion. And that was teenage in her showing that I am not doing what you are saying. And I think somewhere I tried to balance it like, okay, let's not antagonize our parents, let's try to find a midway. But I think somewhere now I realize that there's no midway. If there's something wrong, you have to bring your voice out and you have to change things.
Mhm. So we're heading towards the end of this podcast, and we have a ritual in this podcast where every guest writes a question for the next guest. So I have a question for you. It's from Kavya, and she's asking, what is the one book that you feel deeply connected with?
There are many books, and one that comes to my mind right now is The 40 Rules of Love.
I've never
It's a
heard of it. Can you just give us?
yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful book. It tells about the story of Rumi, the poet, and how he is trying to find God. And it's a little spiritual, but coming to the grounds that to be spiritual or to be connected, we need to love people. We can't be bound by blind faiths or rituals alone. We have to let go of everything, surrender, and love everybody.
Yeah.
Nothing is the essence. If you're able to open your heart to love the world, you'll be connected to.
So is there any question you would like to ask me?
All right, let me ask you this question. And what is it that you what is your takeaway from all these sessions that you do, the podcast?
Hmm. One takeaway. I think it will be different for each and every episode I do. But let me say one takeaway I got from this book and from this episode would be that I thought of the book so differently. You thought of the book so differently, and we read the same book. And I think that's the magic of what books are. Because I was reading this quote earlier. I don't remember the exact words, but it was like the magic of books is like we're reading the same words, we're on the same page, but I'm imagining the person like this, you're imagining the person like that. And the way you explained that you were imagining the moonlight and the starlight like that, I was imagining it in a very, very different way. So, like, I have finally experienced the magic of books today. And yeah, thank you so much for helping me.
You're most welcome, and I'm so happy and so glad to be here. And since I've worked with you and cool presenters, I'm so happy you're doing so well. I congratulate you for your brilliant episodes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I had a great time talking books with you. Thank you.
Yeah, so did I. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
I hope you guys liked today's discussion. Until next time, it's me, Anna Lilani, closing the BTP book for this week.